Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 10 in Introduction to Life Science. This week we'll be studying biotechnology, which is covered in chapter 10 in our textbook. The content page includes 4 learning objectives, some terms to know, and then some videos to help you dive into the content of chapter 10. There's also this New York Times article about CRISPR. This is a technique that isn't described in your book, but it's become really important to genetic engineering. And then here's some additional resources about cloning, which is a confusing topic that isn't really covered in depth in chapter 10. This week we'll be discussing genetically modified foods. I want everyone to read this article by Rachel Ehrenberg. And as you read it, think about these questions. And then in your post, your initial post, which is due Wednesday, I want you to tell the class whether or not you support the production and consumption of genetically modified foods. I want you to provide at least 3 different lines of high quality evidence that supports your stance. For this evidence, I want you to be citing your sources in text. So if you provide some evidence about perhaps the benefits of using the Roundup Ready crops, I want you to cite the specific sources of that information at the end of the sentences that contain that information. So in-text citations typically have the author's last name and year. You can hyperlink that if it's a web resource that you're referring to. If it's not a web resource, you can put the full citation for the source at the end of your post. Your initial post should be at least 200 words. That's due Wednesday, as I said, and then by Saturday, check back into the discussion, respond to at least 2 of your peers, and make sure that your responses to peers are doing more than just telling them they had a great post. Make sure you're adding new information to the discussion. This week's lab is going to walk you through a few different techniques that are used in biotechnology. First of all, you're going to do a DNA extraction, and the extraction is a Utah genetics simulation. So it's going to walk you through going into the lab and extracting DNA from living cells. As you do the simulation, please answer these 5 questions. Next, you're going to do a Utah genetics simulation of the polymerase chain reaction, or PCR. And as you complete that simulation, please answer these 7 questions about the specific steps in the process. Next, you're going to watch this video of me performing gel electrophoresis on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dye molecules and 1, 2, 3 mixtures, unknown mixtures of those dye molecules. This is what the gel looked like when I was done running it in the video. And here you can, your next step is to answer the 3 questions below, and those are asking you to interpret this gel. So using what you know about gel electrophoresis, tell us what were the charges of the different molecules, and tell us the relative sizes of the different dye molecules. Also, tell us what was in the 3 unknown mixtures, which of the original dyes. There's another simulation here about reproductive cloning. Answer these 5 questions as you complete that simulation. And then finally, here's a study table that I'm asking you to fill out. Hopefully this will help you organize your understanding of all of these different techniques that were introduced in chapter 10 and in the content page. Turn the study table and the answers to the questions in here. I've created a chapter 10 practice quiz. It's not graded, but it's meant to help you get ready for the chapter 10 graded quiz, which is here. And then there are 2 additional elements in the week 10 module to help you get ready for the unit 2 quiz. Here's the study guide. this Unit 2 quiz is going to be open during week 11. So not this week, but this week I'm providing you with the study guide so that you can get a head start on studying. Specifically, the Unit 2 quiz is going to be open from Sunday through Wednesday during week 11. It's also going to be proctored in HonorLock, so this is a closed book test. Everybody's going to be monitored using HonorLock during their testing. Here's some tips about how to prepare. Review the flashcards that you've made every week based on the terms that I've given you in the content pages. Review the concepts that are fuzzy, so go through the chapter 6 through 10 learning objectives that are listed here. And if any of them don't sound familiar to you, go back to the book, relearn the material. I highly recommend that you review the study tables that you created in lab, study tables and diagrams. All of the short answer questions in the Unit 2 quiz relate directly to information that should be in those study tables or diagrams. I also recommend you review your old graded quizzes, retake the old practice quizzes. I think those are set so you can take them up to 4 times. And then let me know if you have any questions about any of this content. So remember, chapter 6 was about cell division. Chapter 7 was about reproduction and meiosis. Chapter 8 was about genetics. Chapter 9 was about molecular biology, DNA replication, transcription, translation. And then chapter 10 is what we're studying this week about biotechnology. Finally, on Saturday at the end of this week, I'm asking you to turn in your Unit 2 component of your ePortfolio. And this is extra credit. So this is worth up to 5 points extra credit. Many of you started your ePortfolio already and put the Unit 1 study tables and diagrams in there. Now's your chance to put the Unit 2 study tables and diagrams in there. So the elements that I'm looking for are listed here. You will be graded on the organization, completeness, and accuracy of the study tools. Go back to the labs and check if you got any feedback. So I'm giving you feedback in the assignment comments of every lab. See if you got any feedback about these study diagrams or tables so that you can update them before you put them in your ePortfolio. What I'm looking for is a Canvas link to your ePortfolio, and this is worth a maximum of 5 extra credit points. So that is it. Please let me know if you have any questions about week 10 and have a great week.